Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, it's Alex, it's the Ramble, and it's another week of programming starting at until midnight tonight. Yeah, I got it right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my former producer, and I would hope best friend in the whole world, Albert Reynoso.
I could be that.
You'd be my best friend because, my last best friend died. But this, and don't think this is a curse. I think you're the one that will outlive me. But you never know. How
I don't know how to take that.
How old are you now?
60.
60. Okay. All right. Shecky was 67.
I think I got 7 more in me, at least.
You got 7 more in you? Okay. I don't know. I could wake up every morning worried about this. I'm in that cusp, where every time you go to a doctor, they want you to do another test because they're looking for whatever's going to kill you. So,
I don't know. I haven't been to a doctor in 3-4 years.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I got one doctor. He wants me. They found a couple of spots on my lungs that were nodules. One of them had been the same size for like 7 years, and that kind is always considered benign if it hasn't grown in 7 years. And the other one was a kind of nodule that everybody gets, and they can grow and they can do all kinds of things, but they're very seldom, if ever, malignant. So he says, "Oh, well, go get another test in 6 months." Well, why? He just sent me a thing. I've been waiting a month to make an appointment. Why do more radiology on me? This isn't, but he, they don't want to take any chance of getting sued if somehow they didn't tell you to do that, and I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I would rather die not knowing what I had.
So now he can sue you if you don't take his advice.
He can sue me. Yeah.
Maybe this is the new malpractice. What would you call that? Maladvice? I don't know.
Something. Mal Bennett, I think it's called.
Oh, okay, that's
Mal
a good
Schwarzman. Anyway, so that kind of bothers me. It's like they're all trying to get you. And then there's one doctor told me, I just took a blood test on you, and this doesn't look great, so I'm sending you to the Cancer and Blood Associates. So I go to Cancer and Blood Associates, or whatever they're called, and I see the doctor, the doctor they recommended. He's the big doctor there, and they draw blood out of me, and they take forever to draw the blood out of me. They had to stick me like 5 times before they could get any blood. So if you're the cancer and blood specialist, shouldn't you be able at least to know how to draw blood? They had 3 different people trying me, and I'm sitting there while they're going blank, blank, and finally they got blood out of me. So then I go see the doctor, and he checks me, and I say, well, there's this thing that I was sent to you for, where the certain blood test came back higher than it should have, and he said, oh, that's nothing. But we're going to test all your blood stuff, and we'll let you know. Well, come Monday, I don't hear anything. Tuesday, I don't hear anything. A month later, I don't hear anything.
Guess they won't let you know.
And 2 months later, I get a call from his office, from his nurse, saying, the doctor would like to see you for a follow-up. And I said, is this mandatory? She says, oh, no, it's not mandatory at all. He just would like to see you for a follow-up, right? More money, right?
Yeah, but did you tell him that you never told me what the results were?
I said, you never called me back to tell me what the results of my blood tests were. And I had already gone on to Medicare, and I saw that he charged $5,000 for the one visit to Medicare.
Billing is the first operation they perform.
Billing is the first thing they do. By the way, you're right, because they did all the blood on site, and by that Monday they had already billed Medicare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So anyway, I said to her, I never got a call from the doctor on the results of the tests. And she gets back. She says to me, "Oh, well, that's probably because I'm sure that's because they were all fine, and he didn't feel there was any reason to call you." And I went,
So why are you calling me now to come in again?
Yeah. I mean, I never got any kind of result on that. I do know that I didn't have anemia, but I had a low platelet count. They told me that day. And that was the last that was while I was there. But I never heard from them again. And they wanted $5,000 for Medicare for an hour, less than an hour visit.
That's with blood?
Yeah. But they got only 1,200, I think.
Well, I gave you this advice when we were working together.
Tell them that
if there is no pain and you're not bleeding, you don't need to go to see the doctor.
Yeah. Because I'm sure if at my age they test me for enough stuff, they're going to find stuff wrong. Okay? Yeah, the nodules are there. One of the first one was probably from some kind of cold or something I had, and the other one was some other reason, but it wasn't. It almost is never malignant. So what's the big? Why do I have to go get another? Dose of radiation from the CT scan.
Well, there is a positive aspect to this thing.
What's that?
And it's that you get out of the house. It gets you out of the house.
It gets me out of the house. It's
that's a good thing.
Well, I think Marjorie looks at her doctor's appointments as a social occasion. But anyway, last time we were talking about racism and about but I still didn't come up with what amazes you in the 83 years you've had that's been a development. And I would say
or not a development.
Well, the curse, the advantage and the curse is, I think, the advancement in computers. I think I would have to lay it, but it has its negatives, because rather than use it to, cure cancer as an example, or to get your doctor to call you back. And it should, because it should come up and say, call Alex back with his results. And it should come up on his screen, but apparently it doesn't. Instead,
don't you have an online thing, a MyFile, MyMedics, something where you can check it online? They don't do that?
Yeah, but this is a doctor who wasn't part of Mount Sinai.
Oh.
See? And I can't go to his thing and get my results.
Right.
All I know is that when I went to Medicare, I saw the tests were taken. And I mean, they were like 25 blood tests, And at my age, you're going to find something.
I think if they dig, not even deep, if they dig moderately enough, they'll find something in everybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, I'm 83. That's good. Maybe I'll make it to 93. Probably not.
You'll make it to 93.
What?
So the computers, you said, are amazing, but they have their downside.
Well, no, the downside is human beings who use them
for
the wrong.
Well, the human beings are always the downside.
Who use them for the wrong purposes.
Yeah. And what do you think, if looking ahead, what do you think will be the result? Will we be able to utilize them more efficiently and not abuse computers for nonsense?
I think we're going to continue to abuse them.
Yeah.
I think you're going to get robocalls. I think I consider that one of the biggest invasions we have. My phone used to ring, and I went, "Who's that going to be?" And now most of the time I look down and it says spam. It says robocall. So I mean, it's just that we take computers and we use them for all the wrong stuff.
And that's not going to be helped by AI, I guess, huh?
Well, now that's the other thing. I'm so sick of hearing about AI. Are you?
I'm not sick of it. I'd like to, I'd like to get past this stage where we don't really know what it is or what it's going to do. Everybody's concerned that it could be a real big danger to humanity, but I'm not concerned about that.
No,
I don't think it's developed enough to be.
AI has been here for quite a while. It just suddenly one day somebody said AI, and all of a sudden it's a big story because they're using AI to do this. Because somebody came up with a program, this chat, what is it, chat GPT, where you can have it write something for you. So, that's not the end of the world yet. That's not the
as it progresses, as it evolves, it will become smarter. And you have the Terminator scenario that people think might happen. Even Elon Musk thinks it'll.
Well,
happen.
What's interesting about science fiction movies is everything that happens in our lives now, we relate to science fiction movies. Oh, AI, it's going to take over. Colossus, the Forbin project is here. That kind of thing. And the point is that I don't see AI as anything else but another tool that you can use, and you can either use it for good or you can use it for bad.
So you don't think it'll be developed to a point where it's ever going to be?
I think it
self-aware.
I think it can definitely put people out of work. I think.
Oh, that's clear.
Yeah, because that's what we use things for. I mean, eventually, I don't know where people are going to get jobs. Because I mean, AI cannot write a promo better than I can or you can. Okay?
Know about that.
Oh, I've done it. And it's good. It's terrific. It has it works, but it doesn't there's something missing. And I guess it would be that human factor. I mean, there is a human factor in everything we do. And if it's AI, it's not exactly human. It's doing it by a set of parameters.
But it's not developed, I don't think, that much at this point.
Well, I mean, unions...
Very early development right now.
Our unions, for instance, are striking over this issue.
The SAG and AFTRA union?
Yeah. I mean, they're all worried about this, that this is going to be a real problem for them. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't, oops, come on. I was trying to adjust my light because as the day happens, the light comes in from the window, and I have to use my lights to adjust for it because this half of my face is a little lighter than this half of my face. But anyway, so, I see, that's the one that I have to bring up. Okay, wait a minute, hold on a second, I'll change my, here. AI could do this for me much better than I can do it for myself.
It would have been done already. It would have been done already.
Yes, but anyways, I mean, I just think that AI they're too worried about it. I don't think AI for yet can replace actors. I don't think AI and
yeah,
actors,
but you say yet.
Well, I mean, I can replace a performer right now, and it's not AI, it's using CGI, and we have some performers that aren't human. You look at a picture like Avatar, the second one especially. Most of it was animated. It was the actors played their roles out, and then they were captured, and then the character was laid in over them. But you still had to have the actor there to act out the part.
I don't know. I think I read something. I think it was Tom Hanks that said that he'll be around in movies forever now, because they can use him whenever they want. They can recreate, or it will be available soon that they can recreate him in whatever scene they want to.
Do you want to use Tom Hanks?
I don't know. Well, look what they did with on. What is the Star Wars one with the Baby Yoda? What's the name of that show?
With the Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Of Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, right? Look what they did with Carrie Fisher at the end of one of the episodes. You'd think she was acting on her own there, and she was dead at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
So interesting.
yeah. And they were using.
And that was early.
Mandalorian. They were using Mark Hamill.
That's right. Yeah.
They had a Mark Hamill
Remember,
that was
yes.
CGI, and it looked almost real. Almost. It's still a little touch off.
Yeah, but what is it going to be like in 20 years? Imperceptible.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you could in the next century make a Tom Cruise movie
I'm sure they will.
if you wanted to.
Well, maybe not. You're right.
Yeah. Well, now what's this going to do for actors? But
For
I just
everything.
don't think people are getting too hyped up behind it because the news has been, here's our AI story for tonight. I mean, NBC did a whole week of AI.
Yeah, but they're getting hyped up about it because I mean, you just said it can replace actors in 20 years. Do we wait 20 years until the actors have been replaced and then scream, "Oh, why didn't we do anything?" Or do we have Biden have his meetings about AI now?
Well,
Which is what he's doing.
but you're trying to impose upon a technology where it's going to be in 20 years, and you don't know.
You're right. You don't know. But do you put the possible stopgaps in place now, or do you wait until the trouble has happened?
Do you know what the stop gaps are?
No, you don't. But you can make assumptions.
You're assuming.
This may happen. This may happen. This may happen, and then you've covered your bases.
But you're assuming.
Well, that's what you have to do when you prepare for things.
Yeah. I just say that wait for it to be a problem and then do something about it. Don't suddenly go apoplectic over it like they are now.
That's what I thought I was hearing, and now you've clarified it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If it's a problem, then we deal with it.
Exactly.
What about global warming? Or what do they call it now? Global climate change.
I should care whether AI is going to replace me. I'm retired, so how's it going to replace me?
Yeah, you don't care about AI because you're retired. You don't care about climate change because it's going to take a good 20, 30 years before that.
Here's the part I don't get. It just hit me.
You're just skating now, aren't you?
Well, we've kind of exhausted this topic.
Yeah, okay.
But let me tell you something that really has gotten me about my profession. You remember we worked, I think the last time you and I worked together was on a New Year's Eve at, what was the company? At
WOR.
WOR.
Clear Channel.
Clear Channel. Well, it wasn't, by that time I think it was, what do you call it? iHeartRadio by then.
iHeartRadio,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And we worked the show. And I went home, and do you think I ever saw a check for that?
I doubt it.
I should have. I'm union.
Oh, according to the union rules, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and should I have gotten a check? Never got a call about where do we send the check, or how do
Did
we
you
spell
file a
your
grievance
name?
with the union?
What grievance? So
Hell, I wasn't even with the union. I wouldn't have gotten a dime out of it.
now recently I did a thing at what's that religious organization?
Yeah, I have some AM station there.
Well, it was. I'm trying to remember which station it is now. See, I'm just completely out of it. But it's Salem Broadcasting,
Right.
here in New York. So I went in and I did replace this guy for a night, right? I think how long did I do? I think I did an hour. All I did was an hour. And I went home. Do you think I've ever gotten a check for that? Do they pay anybody anymore?
But do you say anything when they say, "Hey, would you come in and do something?" Do you say, "Oh yeah, sure"? No, but who do I speak to at the business department about my check? Do you say anything? You don't say anything.
I think I didn't because it's such a small amount of money that I would rather complain about it.
Well,
and have
then
something
you're
to
doing a good
complain
job.
about
Then
with you and I.
Then you're getting a lot out of it.
Yeah, but do you think they would have sent me a check?
I don't think they considered that you were going to be paid for it.
See, now wait a minute. I'm a broadcaster. I belong to the union. I don't know what their relationship is to the union.
Probably not involved.
Well, it may be not. I don't know. But I do know WOR was union, and they should have certainly asked me, first of all, they should have asked me, are you union? And then they should have asked me, where do we send the check?
Well, my next question is, where does the union stand on you doing this podcast?
Well, they don't stand anywhere because they have done nothing to unionize podcasts. They completely let that roll over them. Do you know of anything the union does for people doing podcasts?
I've never heard of anything, no.
No, I haven't either. So, there's another place our union has let us down. Once they saw podcasts were happening, they should have tried to unionize podcasts.
How do you do that?
Hey, I'm not the union.
That's not your job, right?
It's not my job. Figure it
the
out.
union's job, right?
Figure it out, And since I'm running my own shows on my own channel, do I have to abide by union rules and send myself a check?
Very interesting.
So that you just brought it up. I hadn't thought about it. They don't cover podcasts, and the fact is that's where most broadcasting is today.
Maybe you'll be fined by the union for doing a show on your own.
How about you work at, let's say, WABC in New York here, and then they put your show on the internet as a podcast, okay? Do you get paid?
Which is often done.
Do you get paid for that? No, the union's never negotiated that. Where's our union? They're totally inefficient.
Maybe it's a thing of the past.
It's all a part of the past. I mean, this is where broadcasting is going, and people they have their podcasts they listen to, and that's it.
Well, it's as broad a cast as you can get. It goes all over the world.
It goes all over the world, but it's still called narrowcasting.
It's not narrowcasting.
No, it's
not.
It's
as broad as possible.
No, people can hear this anywhere in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why I only have a couple of thousand, I have no idea. I should have a couple of million.
Because there's so much out there that people want to listen to.
Oh, well, how many podcasts are there? I think at last estimate, there are 30,000.
I'd be surprised if that were the number and not higher.
And not higher? Maybe it's higher. I heard that a couple of years ago. But, come on. How do I get above the noise?
Well, and what constitutes a podcast versus your YouTube channel, versus your other channels? Everything's available now.
Yeah. But
the radio and television industry is a thing of the past.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist.
No
anymore.
question about it.
And I don't know how. I think AM is probably going to go the way of the dodo very soon, because now, of course, they're not going to put AM radios in electric cars because they have a problem with the frequency that they have to bring it in on, and then how much electricity it uses off the car, and they just don't want to only FM in cars now.
Who listens to that? Nobody listens.
Who wants to listen to something with commercials?
Nobody listens to the FM radio unless they're forced to also. If you have internet radio in the car, you're not listening to FM radio. Nobody cares. That's why they want the podcasts. The radio companies, they want the podcast.
Well,
because
the podcasts, so many of them do run commercials.
Of course they run commercials. They have to make money somehow.
Yeah. But how am I supposed to compete against somebody, say, at MSNBC doing a podcast and getting all that publicity for free from MSNBC? How am I supposed to compete against that? What if I got my little dinky broadcast here?
And now every TV host has a podcast. And are they getting paid extra for that? I doubt it.
Right. So anyway.
The problem is not with the people or the business or the industry. It's with the corporations.
Yeah.
Taking care of the people.
And when I first started doing essentially podcasting, there was nobody out there doing it. Very few people doing it. And as soon as it looked like there was money in it, all of a sudden all the corporations are into it, and I get squeezed out.
Yeah.
you know. So I mean,
People do it on their own just for ego. That's it.
yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
I don't care about making money. Look at me. I have my own podcast.
Yeah, but all of these major podcasts are being subsidized by major corporations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's MSNBC or whether it's Spotify or whatever. So
That's right.
anyway, hey, you know, it's always a pleasure talking with you because it's just
Mine as well.
it's just a talk, you know. And I'm glad we're kind of doing this on a regular basis because I think it's worth doing. You know?
Next time we talk, I'd like to talk, if you can remember this, about toilets in space. I don't know how they do it.
I'll tell you how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save it for next
How
time.
do you
Toilets
do it
in
without
space.
getting your ass sucked in?
Whatever it is, I don't know. I don't understand how it works at all.
Yeah, well,
and I have a bidet at home.
I will
so
I will look it up. Okay. I'm sure I
Yeah.
can go onto YouTube and say toilets in space, and I'll have my answers.
let's
Okay.
figure it out.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is Albert Reynoso, and lately he's been on about once a week, and I couldn't be happier. You know.
And
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our guy. Thanks,
Thank-
Albert. Bye.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? Hello, everybody. How are you? And how do you do? Okay. Hello. It's Monday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's not Monday. We've got just tons of people waiting to come on the program, so we better just admit them right now. Here they come. Let me see here. Okay. Yes. Oh, and it's Charlie Wallace. That's it. Oh. Jeff Stein is trying to get in now. Do you think he'll have his audio on? Doesn't sound like it. Sounds like everything's fine. Everything's fine, Jeff.
That's nice.
Yeah. That's very nice. Yeah. Hello to both of you. Nice to have you here. Is this going to be it for tonight? Oh no! Here comes.
What? Let's go home.
Here comes Alan. Here comes Alan. Alan is coming in here. Okay, and there's Alan. Hello, Alan. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Alex? How was your weekend?
My weekend.
It's 3 days after. Sorry.
You know, when you're out of work, when you're not working, weekends don't matter anymore.
No,
You right? Am I right, Charlie?
know what day of the week?
Yeah.
What day? Like today's the 19th. If somebody had asked me that 10 minutes ago, I'd say, I don't know.
I don't know. That's right.
Who cares?
The
You
only
know?
reason I know is because it's right there at the bottom of my screen, and
Oh, they're back now. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Are you there?
yeah, I'm
okay,
here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I just want to make sure we had the audio and everything. It just stopped on us. Yeah. But who cares? Anyway. So I mean, weekend, simply all it means to me is that I don't have to do this. Okay. Which, I guess I can say I look forward to. But,
Yeah.
It's part of your social life. It's part of your
this is
social
part of my
life.
social life?
Absolutely.
God, what has my life become?
It works for me.
Marjorie's hair's been getting really thin lately.
Uh-oh.
And so today she went to the barber, and the barber cut her hair shorter than it normally is. And he said the reason it's so thin is that the very ends get very thin when you get older. So he cut it shorter, and it looks great now. And she says, does it make me look younger? I said, well, it's still
Yeah.
gray.
Isn't the answer yes?
I guess.
Yeah, it should be.
No, anything that makes them feel good. No, but I actually really liked the way it looked. I thought it was terrific. So good for her.
Good answer.
Good answer.
I'll never forget my aunt and the uncle, my mother's brother and sister-in-law. They were the odd couple. They were both uglier than ugly could be. Both had no brains. and they were meant for each other. And I remember going with it, and Aunt Sandra probably had a size, I don't know, 50-inch waist, and she picks up a we're in a bathing suit that's made for Farrah Fawcett or something very small.
Mhm.
She said, "Wouldn't I look good in this?" And he says, "Yeah, if it came in a 20x size or something." And she got upset by it. I thought, well, come on, you're holding up this little. It's like finding me in a Speedo. I mean, come on.
Well, what you do is you really have to look. How can I put it? You have to. Lie. Life is full of lying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
If somebody says, "Do I look fat to you?" No, you look fine. You look
Yeah.
terrific. I know that every time I say that to Marjorie, she's lying to me.
Well, you're not fat. I'm fat.
Well, I'm. Well, yeah, you are.
And the medical community is so touchy. I said to the doctor, something. I lost a couple pounds. I'm not so fat. Oh, don't use the word fat. Why? You type in your after visit things, obese. It's the same thing. Why? It's like, yeah. Oh, Alan, you got a beautiful full head of hair. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
You're not.
Wake up,
You're not
people.
fat. You're not fat, Alan. You're morbidly obese.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've seen that in the doctor's things too.
Yeah. Yeah. But they won't say it to your face, though.
I don't care.
Yeah. Well.
It is what it is.
Now, were you always overweight?
No. I mean, when I was a cop, I used to get to work a couple hours early, work out in the gym, then go run 2 to 4 miles around this lake next to it, and
Jeez.
come back in and I don't. I'd be lucky to walk that now. But anyhow, the lake's still there. But yeah, and you're a cop and you're carrying a gun and you got to arrest people. You can't afford to lose fights, and especially if you're like, okay, I'm really winded. I don't want to fight you. I just shoot you instead.
Yeah.
It's But after I left there, I blimped out.
Did you blimp out because you said your leg went bad or something?
I injured my knee chasing somebody over the fences.
So when
I could never go over fences at this weight. I could maybe go through them, but at this weight I can't go over them. So,
Yeah.
but I was chasing somebody. I went over about 5 or 6 through backyards, and so the guy that I was chasing was able to get a farther bounce off the fence, and I landed right on the other side of the fence, and the people had a pile of wooden pallets.
Oh God.
I screwed up my knee, and he was laughing, and by that time he knew it was the police and sirens and stuff like that, and he was laughing on the other side of knowing that I couldn't shoot him. I had a gun drawn, pointed at him. It was a drug deal, and it had gone bad. But the thing that was so good that took the pain away from me was they had a German Shepherd canine that was working with us, and the guy let the canine into the backyard, and this canine, this German Shepherd, grabbed a hold of his testicles. And this guy wasn't laughing anymore. I was. It was kind of cute.
Yeah, that was kind of cute.
He lost both of them, sued the city, and lost his case, and went to prison. So
Yeah. What is a drug deal gone wrong? I mean, I've had a drug deal gone wrong myself. In that I turned out it was oregano, but
oh yeah. Well, so I think it was heroin at the time that was popular, and we were selling heroin. The narcs, and somebody said to me, I bought some stuff from you last time, and he assured me, and he spit in my face. Well, that's an assault. Let's go after him. And I said, I'm a police officer. You're under arrest. And he wanted to go for a run, and I said, okay, let's go for a run. And in those days, I could just almost jump right over a 6-foot fence. Not today.
No, of course not. But so did you start to gain weight once you had the accident?
Yeah. Because I blew out my knee and I wasn't able to walk, and and they kept me around for 2 years, which was a long time, just in anticipation that maybe I could be useful again, I guess is the way they put it. But it didn't work out. So.
But you get a full disability on that? Yeah.
Sort of, kind of.
What do you mean, sort of, kind of?
Well, it isn't really a full disability because I didn't have a full number of years. He didn't have the full 30 years. So
Yeah, but I mean, let's say you become a policeman, and 2 years in, you blow your knee out. Well, I mean, what, you got to wait until 20 years, 30 years later to blow your knee out, and you get more? I mean, shouldn't you? I mean, it's a disability. It's a disability.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many years you've been in the force.
Well, what happened is the reason they kept me around so long is the chief of police owed me a favor. Early in my police career, I was on patrol and I went up into a construction area, up a hill, turned my lights off and walked out with a flashlight. And up there, Lover's Lane, flat piece of land, top of a hill. They're going to build a house. And inside a car is all steamed up windows, and it was the chief's 19-year-old son with a 16-year-old girl.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Well, they had actually been going, a little history just about. They'd been going since he was 16 and she was whatever age she was. They were dating and stuff. So the parents all consented, but I didn't arrest him. And it would have made front page news, and it didn't need it.
Yeah.
My sergeant says you have the right to arrest him. It's a felony, but it's not going to go anywhere. The chief would be, unhappy, and your police career here will come to an end somehow. I said, yeah, okay. There are plenty of other arrests.
Yeah, in California, they have weird rules about what do you call it? About underage sex.
I think they have it everywhere.
No, here's the thing. Let's say you're a guy and you're 15 and she's 14. The guy has just broken the law.
In California, it's 18.
What I'm saying is, the guy still has broken the law because he had sex with even if the girl was a year older than him but underage. They could still hit the guy with it.
Yeah, but underage in California and in most states is under the age of 18. 18.
No, but what I'm saying is, here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The guy is the guy is
if he raped her, that's a different
the guy is 14 and the girl is 16. Are they going to go and arrest the girl? No, they're going to arrest, but they can't arrest the guy, the 14-year-old guy.
Yeah, for what though?
That for statutory rape.
No, if it's rape, yes.
No. In those days, I don't know if it still holds true, but statutory rape was any sex with a minor, even if you were a minor yourself.
Right. If rape is rape.
Even if you were a boy and you were younger than the girl, you were still guilty of statutory rape.
If it was rape, if it was forced.
No. Rape then, statutory rape did not refer to just rape. Okay, it referred to having sex with a minor. Didn't have to be. It could be consensual, but it was still considered statutory rape.
Except for
either that or the other definition is you had sex with Sherman's horse. That's statutory rape.
So,
Statutory rape. Okay, well anyway. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
How you doing?
Okay.
Really?
You miss out how fat I was?
No, I was listening. I was getting warmed up.
All right.
Yeah. Well, he's so fat that when he sits around the house, he sits around the house. Thank you.
Yeah. Was that lake that you used to run around to Fremont Lake there?
Yeah.
Lake Stevenson?
Yep, you know it, don't you?
Yep.
We used to do
softball there.
On my radio show in San Francisco. We used to do fat jokes.
Park.
We used to do fat jokes about Monty Hoffman, and it was like Monty Hoffman's so fat that, and when he sits around the house, he sits around the house, and then he's so fat that when he stands on a street corner wearing a red, white, and blue outfit, they stuff mail in his mouth. Things like that.
I don't know.
Here comes John Larkin. He's down there with all the people who are just screwing up the neighborhood, right, John? Wait a minute. There he is. John, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, how's everything in San Francisco in your neighborhood, the Tenderloin, which is ground zero, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's falling apart. A lot of, I don't know. It's just filthy. It's so dirty, and it's everything's closing up. Businesses can't stay in business because they just don't want to be around here.
I almost sent you an article last night, Alex, on the news.
Mm.
That, just like he said, a lot of businesses are folding, big stores and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In the upper market area, they're going at Nordstrom's, all kinds of stuff going on. And the little guy, they're allowing, the police are not arresting and the courts are not charging in San Francisco and now in Oakland, shoplifters, these kids come in and just take stuff off the rack, put it in their bag, and walk out.
Well, if they don't go get them, then that's going to keep going on.
Absolutely.
And, I mean,
they're driving there's no business for the big businesses, and the small guy can't afford to stay in business with all the theft going on, and the police stand out there and they don't do a thing.
Well, let's say they arrest every shoplifter that shoplifts, okay?
Absolutely.
They've then got to prosecute them.
Yeah.
And that clogs up the courts. So they have to then, if it's so outrageous, they then have to make a decision: are we going to prosecute these people, or are we going to prosecute the more horrible crimes?
And even then, there's no room in the jails. I mean,
that's right.
All the drug dealers, they got to let them go because where do they? There's nowhere to put them in the jails. It's.
Well, so what's the answer to the question in San Francisco? I mean, I would say it's start arresting. I would
How
say,
about clog the jail? How about you just clog the morgue? Make a moratorium. Somebody shoplifts or sells drugs on the corner, you just shoot them and then call the coroner. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the answer is. San Francisco doesn't have a large land. It's a city and county, where other counties have a lot of land, and so you just set up tents and house the misdemeanor people that are idiots in tents.
Well, one of the things they really have to go after in San Francisco are the drugs. And the reason I'm saying that is it's the drugs that's drawing the homeless to San Francisco. Because they say the best and cheapest fentanyl in the entire country is in San Francisco. Yes, Kevin. Yes, Kevin.
And there's a ton of it. There's a lot of it. It's all over.
Kevin, did you have your hand up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I hear this all the time, and I also hear other things. John, if you live there, I know. If you were to go outside the Tenderloin and go up the street and head towards Golden Gate Park or that kind of area, it's not that bad, is it?
It's not that bad, but you still find encampments all over. People just putting up tents and blocking the sidewalk.
Homeless.
All over the place.
Yeah, homeless.
No,
yes. He's talking about drug deals and
no,
bad neighborhoods.
I'm talking about in general. I think the San Francisco is getting a bad rap, and I heard a lot of that.
Well, I was talking.
The Dead was in town recently, and there was a lot of people from out of town, and I saw a lot of posts that were saying, these people were coming in from out of town and going, we heard a lot of crappy stuff about San Francisco, and I've been through there too, and I hear a lot of crappy stuff about San Francisco, and there's no doubt there's a lot of shitty areas that have gotten really crappy. But I like to defend San Francisco because I love that town.
Well, I do too.
And there's a lot of good places in the town as well. And I'm tired of people bashing that town because there's still a lot of places that are really nice.
But like, for instance, I talked to
and I'll tell you what, it's the DeSantis and all these other people that are grabbing onto that and pushing how shitty it is.
Absolutely.
And I don't like it at all. And quite frankly, I don't like anybody that's grabbing onto it and tailgating off that either. It bothers the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because San Francisco is just like any other city, like Philadelphia, like Chicago, like any other big city. They've got their shitty parts and they've got their drug areas and they've got their homeless areas, but San Francisco is just the same as anywhere else. There's a lot of beautiful spots in San Francisco that have no problem.
Brian's got his hand up, but before I go to Brian, I was talking to Bubbles the other day, and I said, "Are you having any problems in your neighborhood?" He lives in Cow Hollow, which is right down near the marina. It's a pretty nice area, you know, and even if it's named Cow Hollow.
Yeah.
And he said there was somebody passed out in front of his apartment building just the other day. He said it's moving out to all parts of the city.
There are stragglers, yeah, and I get that, but I don't know. I just don't. Think
I know.
It's
I feel. I'd like to feel the same way, but I've heard some really distressing things.
I'll tell you, the media is building it up worse than it is.
Well, did you see that deal about where the?
Wait a minute. Let me go to Brian because he did have his hand up. Brian,
Go ahead.
I said this last week. You go over to where the Warriors' new arena is, and it's all rebuilt, very beautiful. You go up the street where China Basin is, where the Giants ballpark is. It's all beautiful, all brand new. But you go like we used to. We used to go up on Saturdays. We used to drive up to Union Square and park there. And then you have Nordstrom and Macy's and everything in there. And then we would walk down to Mission where the mall is that they're that everybody's leaving. And we'd walk
like
there, and all you smell is, and they have Chanel is there, and Louis Vuitton, and all those places right around Union Square. And you walk down the street down to get to the mall, which is maybe 5 to 10 blocks, and it smells like urine. You have people sleeping in the street, and you have all that area. So of course, and I think there are even worse areas than that. And then they allow all these tents everywhere. And when you see all those tents in Embarcadero and all those areas, they were never like that, So you do have some nice areas, but if all those areas that used to be really nice before are all just
they've gotten out of hand.
And the other thing I think you missed is that they on the special they're talking about, not just the cheapest fentanyl, but they have the loosest laws there because nobody's arresting anybody and everybody's doing it right out in public.
I'm not disagreeing with that part,
there are very nice areas, and it's all the new areas, but now all these old areas need to get cleaned up. They are doing one thing. The Skateboarders Alliance, there's a community group that just is signing something that they can take over this area that's underneath the freeways, that they're going to let them do a skate park in there. And they've done that in another couple places where they've been homeless areas, and they've sort of caged it off, let skateboarders, they do all the ramps and everything and graffiti, and it sort of changes some of those neighborhoods.
But what's the street that all the car dealerships used to be on? Van Ness. I hear Van Ness is one tent after another, is what I've been told.
No, not so much Van Ness, but the businesses can't really stay in business on Van Ness anymore because there's nowhere to park anywhere on Van Ness. No. You cannot park. So no businesses can really stay in business there.
I don't know if you need to park on Van Ness. A lot of Van Ness, they've taken all the traffic out and only allow Muni on it or something.
Yeah, that's one thing. But nobody takes Muni. That's the problem.
Literally 101. It's 101 business.
They've been doing construction there for like 10 or 20 years on Van Ness.
Wow.
So now they've got 2 big bus lanes that go up that are just dedicated to buses,
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but nobody takes freaking buses. If the people would get out of their cars,
Are you having a homeless problem in Austin, Charlie?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Every freeway. Overpass.
So what does that say? That says that we've got a homeless problem in the United States, and it needs to be addressed all across the nation.
Oh yeah, like this country's going to do anything about it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's
I mean, there was
trillions of dollars for defense.
Yeah.
Back off on that a little bit.
But nothing for the local.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, there was a time in this country where we did care a little more about people who had problems like that. When we really cared about it, of course, is when everybody had the problem, because there was the money problems in this country back in the 30s. But I mean, it's just. It's terrible.
Well, we're having money problems now too. I mean, there's obviously an economic problem in the U.S. and that's obvious. But these people are in it, and they're deep in it, and they don't want to come out of it, but they got to have somebody stand there and slap them in the face and say you need to come out of it.
Well, you
but
know,
they don't want
you
to.
know, we're seeing the erosion of is the middle class.
That's
You
it.
know,
Oh, yeah.
And eventually, we're going to just have people who are either poor or they're rich, and that's it.
Goes back to the old George Carlin thing.
Yeah, well, somebody, who was it that I saw? I think it was maybe Clinton in a speech he was giving. No, it was Obama in this TV show he did about the rich and the poor and the differences and so on. And he said that the one thing that America prided itself on when it became a nation was that there was going to be a middle class. That in Europe you had the rich and you had the poor, and there was nothing in between. And they wanted to establish a very firm middle class in this country, and it was something we took great pride in. But we're losing the middle class.
Yeah, it's true.
No question about it. You know.
You either got to climb your way up into that lower upper class, or you're down in the shithole.
Yeah.
Getting harder and harder to get there.
Yeah. And in San Francisco, how about your apartments in San Francisco now? You know?
Yeah, they're a lot. I mean, for a decent one, to 2,000 to 2,500. For one in a nice neighborhood, you're looking 3,000 to 5,000.
Wow.
I think part of the problem is the police can't do a lot. I mean, I have friends of mine that are retired from San Francisco, and my cousin is a sergeant in San Francisco at PD, but their hands are tied. They said that the mayor says, we don't want you bothering the homeless unless it's a fight or life-threatening, and so on and so forth. And so there really a lot of hands-off stuff that the police would like to get involved in and try and help out the neighborhood. But they're
hands tied. Yeah,
like one hand tied behind their back, and it sucks. It's not what these guys want to be, guys and girls. Their cops want to be doing in San Francisco. They want to be arresting, taking people to court.
John, how big is your
come out of the city?
How big is your apartment?
You're looking at it. This is just the one. It's a studio.
Mm-hmm.
I got a there's a kitchen, a full kitchen, and a bathroom. But and it's a studio, and it's $14 a month.
Your kitchen and bathroom are one and the same.
Yeah. What's his name? Bubs has a studio, but he's had it for 35 years.
Wow.
And he's not moving anywhere.
Rent control in San Francisco.
Well, I don't know if is it rent control in San Francisco? Do they have that?
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gee, what are
Especially in a big apartment, those are really rent controlled. Smaller, like homes, like 2-unit buildings, those aren't so much rent controlled. You can kick people out of those, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just it's horrible. Well, it's horrible what's happening here in New York too. I mean, come on, New York. You want a nothing apartment? It's going to cost you almost $2,000 for like a studio.
When I first moved to the city, it was like 88, I think, and I had a 2-bedroom apartment with parking in Potrero Hill with a nice view of the East Bay, and I lived there until 2010 or something like that, 2008, and then these young guys bought the building and they kicked everybody out. But it was only a 6-unit building, so they had to pay me to get me out. But it was only $50,000, which it's not a lot. Yeah. Considering I was only paying $1,100 a month.
Well, now you're working at. So you still working at the Warfield?
Yeah.
And are they still going strong?
Well, I also work at the other theaters too, so I stay pretty busy.
What, the Curran and the Gary?
Not the Gary, the
Orpheum
and the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Curran. Yeah.
All of those, believe it or not, were movie theaters.
Yeah.
At one time, except for the Warfield. My father used to play at the Warfield because what they would do in the old days, they would show you a movie, okay, and then there was a show.
Yeah.
And they would have a show that was like a 45-minute show with a live orchestra, or whatever. It might be somebody like Spike Jones, or it might be Tommy Dorsey or somebody, you know.
Yeah.
And they would do 6 of those a day, right? And then a movie, and actually I think a companion feature, and then the stage show. And the Warfield was always had live performances there. So it's not unusual, but I remember what are you talking about? Let's see, the other
Castro?
two, the other
Or
two,
the Fox.
well, we can talk about the Fox in a second, but the other 2 theaters, the Warfield
And the Golden Gate and the Orpheum.
Golden Gate and the Orpheum. The Orpheum was a movie theater, and the Golden Gate was only a movie theater.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, and then you had the Fox,
yeah.
which was an amazing edifice. I mean, it
Yeah.
was the largest movie. How many? 5,000 seats, something like that.
They tore that down so long ago. I think in the '60s, so I don't remember it. Did you ever go to it?
Oh yeah, oh
Wow.
yeah. I went to see movies there when I was a kid.
Jesus,
In fact,
that's awesome.
I remember that when CinemaScope first came out, the Fox Theater was showing CinemaScope, so I wanted to see what it looked like, and I went there to see The Robe,
Wow.
which was the first movie in CinemaScope, and it had a huge curved screen for that. But I mean, it was an amazing theater, and it was beautiful. They had this organ, and all the pipes for the organ were in the walls of the theater. And when they played that thing, the whole place vibrated.
Oh,
You know?
pipe organs.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was just amazing.
I think the last one in the theater right now is in Oakland at the Paramount,
yeah, the Paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
around the Bay Area.
Yeah.
They had one. So my friend's club, Larkin may remember, I'm sure, but it was Ruby Sky, and Ruby Sky used to be a place before. It's 420 Mason. So it said 1940s. It became a USO club called Stage Door. Do you remember that one? Stage Door Theater, Alex?
Oh yeah.
No,
I remember.
not at all.
Singapore.
Not at all.
San Francisco.
Ruby Sky is still there.
No, it's gone.
It's not Ruby Sky anymore. They changed. It got sold like
Yeah,
It's called August
7
Hall.
years ago.
It's
Yeah.
called August Hall now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
They ruined it.
Who?
Ruby Sky was great. The new
Oh, yeah.
people it's horrible in there now. Ruby Sky was beautiful.
Yeah, they're very good friends of mine, but they sold at the right time though. They sold just before COVID, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
the
still
Castro. The
they're
Castro.
still fighting over the Castro. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh,
they're
really?
they want to turn it into a nightclub, but the locals there don't want them to change it at all. They don't want it. They don't want the theater seats being taken out.
Yeah, they want
Oh,
to.
the
was
Castro
gonna-
Theater. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so they're
Always
raising.
in the news.
Well, the thing, there's a very interesting documentary I watched on YouTube on the history of the movie palaces and how they came to be and what they were, and then how they suddenly all died. I mean, the Fox was a perfect example of a movie palace. You went in there, it looked gorgeous. The only, we have a couple movie palaces left in New York, don't we, Tony? Out in your neighborhood, you got a movie palace, don't you?
Shetke would have known that. I remember asking him that. Actually, the only one that I know of, and I asked him, I don't think it's Alex. What would be a palace? We have one old theater.
Movie
on
palaces. Movie palaces are distinguished by the fact that they're really huge. And then they've got all this ornate work on the walls, and
Well, you know that could have
sometimes
been
they
that?
were done to look like some of them were in an Egyptian motif, others were in a Roman motif.
Well, the one that I remember as a kid that I remember exactly what movies I saw there too. I saw Return of the Jedi, Jaws. It was across the street from where my mom worked on A&S on Queens Boulevard. It was called the Elmwood, and now it was like. It's a church now, but it always was big inside.
You see, what
I saw
happened
King
is
Kong in there in like '79.
is
It was
many,
huge. It only
many-
showed two
yeah.
theaters.
many of these movie palaces
It was just big.
were bought up by churches. Like the
Yes,
one,
that was a
the
church
oldest movie palace in America is on the corner, catty corner from where I am. and the building is still there, and it was the first movie palace. A guy by the name of Roxy, the name you've heard because a lot of the Roxy theaters all around.
Yeah, they got one here in San Francisco.
Yeah. Roxy took over this thing because it was opened up as a movie theater and kind of a palace, and then he redecorated it and turned it into this absolute movie palace, and it was the first movie palace in America. And then he opened up one downtown called the Roxy, which was absolutely huge. And then Roxy got together with a couple of other people, and they're the ones that built the Radio City Music Hall, which is a perfect example of a movie palace.
Because I remember going as a kid. I remember like when my mom used to get free tickets sometimes where she worked. The boss used to give them to her, and I remember the screen was so big because it only showed 2 movies at the time. And I actually still remember. My sister, I know what movies I saw there. I saw Superman there, #1. Like you remember it just being. It was so big. I saw that King Kong.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But you go to a real movie palace like the Radio City Music Hall, which has at least 5,000 seats.
Yeah,
and you go up to the top balcony.
How big?
The same was true of the Fox Theater. You go to the top balcony and you watch a movie because maybe the place is crowded. And the screen is a postage stamp. That's how big those theaters were.
Yeah, I saw a couple of Disney movies there in Radio City. I remember that.
Radio City was where all the Disneys played.
Yeah, I saw Puff the Magic Dragon and a couple others. I distinctly remember my mother taking me there. Like I have that still in my head. I remember going to it and everything. I was so excited because it was like bigger than life. Like wow, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. Yes, Ray.
We have one in downtown Palo Alto.
Really?
And they play old movies there.
Yeah.
Stanford. It's owned by
Stanford Theater. Yes.
And a guy plays a Wurlitzer before the movies.
Yep.
But like you say, the funny thing is the screen looks like a postage stamp. It's hard to get used to when you're used to the big cineplexes and the giant screens.
They do a lot of John Wayne movies and stuff. Like
that. They always have a theme. Like right now, it's Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
Do you remember
really cool.
You remember the new Varsity?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go to that, see the midnight movies back in the 70s. I saw Eraserhead there.
That's the one in Menlo Park or the one on...
No, it was on University down by Middlefield.
I spent my teens I spent my teens living in San Anselmo. And
the Varsity.
But a theater, there was a theater in San Anselmo, and the Tamalpais Theater. And I remember that theater as being really pretty large, huge,
All the theaters back in those days were big. People went to movies in those days.
Yeah, I love going to the movies.
Yeah, I mean, and there would always be a double feature.
I used to slip in. So I used to do like you did. I used to slip in, try to time.
Well, no, here's the difference between going to movies today and then. Today you go to a movie, what time does it start? You get there just before it starts so you can see the beginning of the movie and the trailers and everything, and you watch the film, and then when it's over you leave. And in fact, they hustle you out the door. They don't want any stragglers sticking around in the theater.
Yeah.
When I was growing up as a kid, when I was a boy, you went to a movie. You didn't ask what time it started. You went down to the theater and you walked in. Now, the movie might be halfway through the film, so you just watched it from that point. Yeah. Then you watched the second feature, and then there was something you would always say to somebody next to you. Is this where we came in? And you would leave. Do anybody remember those days?
Yes, I used to do that all the time. There was a movie theater right near my house. It cost me 25 cents. I'd go in there, just watch whatever movie until it was over, and then watch the beginning after the second feature. I'd be there for hours and hours by myself.
I think in those days they actually made the movies so you could walk in the middle of them. Really, I'm serious.
Yeah, I loved it. It was like the biggest. I just would feel like in my own world.
You remember that, don't you, Jeff? You don't
No.
remember it,
Wow.
Jeff? Come on, you old fart.
I
You
did that all
remember
the
it. You don't
I
remember
did that all the time.
You're
what?
muted, Jeff.
Walk in the middle of the picture, right?
I
My
never
parents didn't
saw
get-
this.
Hmm? You never
What?
what?
Never saw those kind of shows.
When did they do the ratings? Because I remember going to
Ratings?
see really adult movies. I mean, not X-rated, but like movies that were pretty adult oriented when I was like 10, 12 years old. Because my mom would
Early
say,
70s.
Yeah, my mom would go, "Here's $5 or something. Go see a movie. Get out of my hair." You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I can remember
Well,
seeing.
I think
like,
it was.
Carnal
It,
Knowledge.
it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
Vanishing Point.
Back
Yeah, I
in
remember
the
that.
back in the 40s when I the 40s when I grew up as a kid, and then into the 50s, they didn't really rate films because films could only be so much. You know, they weren't. Then nobody would play them if they were racy or something like that. You know, so the whole idea of ratings came in. I'm trying to remember when. And
It had to be the like the mid 70s.
I think it was the early 70s.
I went in. I went and saw Shampoo when I was like 9 years old. I saw
Long days, yeah.
Vanishing
I'm
Point.
thinking.
I
I'm
saw-
thinking. I'm thinking the '60s. I'm thinking the '60s.
I was
Yeah,
thinking-
I think it was
Well,
in
no
the late
one-
60s.
Right?
Huh?
No one cared when I went. No one stopped me.
I know. I never got carded in any movie I ever went to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
I
just
want to say it was in the late 60s, probably.
I'm trying to remember. They originally had they only
1968.
they only had G for general audiences,
Yep.
and then I
PG.
think was it
They had X. They
It
had
was
X.
19
well they had an X and they had an
1958
and they had
X,
R. And X,
R,
you know,
yeah.
like for instance, Midnight Cowboy was an X-rated movie.
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
the first one to win an Oscar. Yeah.
First one to win an Oscar. But what happened was that all of a sudden the porno people decided we'll come out with our own. We're not just CDX, we're triple X.
Triple X.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, late
Alan.
1968.
Huh?
Yeah, 1968, the motion picture. You must have looked it up.
Yeah. And is-
That's when I used to go. That's when I
Motion
used to
Picture
go. And so I think they.
Association of America
Isn't that Rat So Rich?
established a system on ratings, according to.
Now, what was the first film to be PG? They added PG later on, but what was the first film to be PG?
PG started in 1972.
What film was it done for?
The
I don't
Flamingo
know, but-
Kid.
No.
No. That was
The Flamingo Kid didn't end up hitting a movie theaters until December.
First PG-13 was Red Dawn.
Really?
Great.
Because
No.
I heard that it was
Collider.
no, that it was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I saw that in the
That they actually came
what
out
was
with.
What was the first movie that you ever saw kids in?
They
Okay.
said Flamingo
Mine was
Kid was the
15
first
Brody.
Well,
one.
I don't know. That was some guy who
Yeah,
brought.
Crime of Miss Jean Brody. Yeah, I remember that.
No, that was
I
actually.
remember going to school. I mean, I saw tits in this movie. It was
Yeah.
too hot, man.
Oh, wait a minute.
Shit.
I was in Mitchell Brothers Ritz when I was 16.
That was in what year, though? That was
Yeah, in the last century, John.
Prime of Miss Jean Brody.
Well, the
came
first
out-
time I ever saw breasts in a movie was some guy brought a projector over in some stag films.
Yeah.
Yeah. My I told you guys my mom passed away when I was young, so I was in my stepdad. My stepdad was always with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I found his porno stash when I was like 14. So I remember one porno. It was called Winnie Bango. So-
Winnie Bango.
Winnie Bango, and these girls were in a Winnebago, just going around.
Well,
And they had-
here's the thing. It's very interesting.
you find that one, Tony? Is that on your list of comics?
No, but it's kind of fun. The names these porno movies when you mention them.
They.
It's like this, and they play that dumb music.
Well,
I told you, my father was out of work. He taped over me and my mother's General Hospital with Channel 63. Me and mother wanted to watch Friday Soap Cliffhanger, and I get it all ready, tuned it up. We're sitting down. The next thing you know, I had to tell my mother to go in the kitchen. He went from Channel 7 to 63. I said, I thought you were looking for work. He says, I was watching this. I said, mine tape. He said, I'm going to kill you, Leo.
Hey, the good thing is Brian Winnebago has some pictures on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's X-rated. I doubt it. But
Yeah. Well, you know, the whole idea, you know, it used to be porn was illegal. And
Was it
you know, it
illegal?
was just
You didn't like
absolutely,
it.
absolutely illegal. And you couldn't have porn without getting arrested for it. I'm serious. It was that bad. But what happened and what changed everything was videotape. Now, here's the reason it changed it. It's a very unusual thing. If you took, say, somebody had some porno films, and you took the films in before a judge and you said, here are the porno films, they could hold them up to the light and they could see the image.
Yeah.
But the law wasn't against a latent image, which videotape was. And so therefore, when videotape came in, they couldn't bust them for porn. So that's why porn became so dominant.
I bet you they must have sold most of those VCRs. I bet you, Alex. The people want to watch dirty movies.
Listen, the first reason VCRs sold was so people could watch porn.
yes,
You
Really?
would
go.
you go to a rental place, and they had a whole place in the back room. The most rentals in any video store were adult films.
Yep.
Today, nobody cares. You go on YouTube, but not YouTube, but you go online, if you know where to go, and you get endless amounts of free porn. You know. So.
I remember getting a VCR. I was so excited to get that. My brother bought the VCR. We were so excited.
No, I remember the first time I saw a porno film. I found this guy. I think he was in Houston, who would come over with a projector, and for a certain amount of money would play a certain number of porn films. And that's the first time I ever saw a stag film. Do you seem to remember that, Charlie?
Yes, we had,
Huh?
Somebody bring over a projector, had his own movies that he would show.
That's right. That was his little business. He would go out to people would hold parties, and then they would hire this guy to come. He was kind of like like a disc jockey. You know?
When I was a kid, my friend found a 16 millimeter movie under his dad's bed. It was a John Holmes movie. And then when his parents were gone, he put it on and we watched it. I was like, oh my. That was the first time I ever saw anything like that. I was in shock.
I remember San Jose.
that was R-rated.
No, it wasn't.
San Jose had a drive-in porno movie back in the 70s.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You used to see it from the highway.
They had one up near Santa Rosa. Between Santa Rosa and Petaluma, there was a drive-in theater, and they started showing porn.
Driving by it,
and people were.
My friends lived across the highway, and we go over there and sit in their front yard and watch the movie. It was quiet.
I drive past there at 10 o'clock at night. You know, going up to Santa Rosa to see some friends, and there's a big giant vagina on the screen.
Yeah, 6 feet wide.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But I mean, the good old days, huh? I mean, do you realize?
Hey, can I tell you a story?
Wait a minute.
Quick one?
Yeah, sure.
I in the mid '80s, I videoed a play I was in, and I made everyone copies. But I videoed a Super 8 or 8 millimeter, and then I transferred it to VHS. But I didn't realize that this 8 millimeter had porn on it because I wanted to see if I could go from VHS to 8 millimeter, and so all the copies I made at the end of the play, there was like 20 minutes of porn, and I gave it to like 15 people, and no one ever said anything.
Nobody ever complained.
No one ever said anything. But I was like, oh. I can't believe I did that, but no one ever.
That's like Louis C.K. pulling his penis out in front of 3 women. Nobody told him not to. You know, nobody said stop.
You know, I mean, John Holmes made a lot of money on Super 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the women models too.
They didn't make a lot of money back then, believe it or not. And that was the early days of porn where they weren't paying top
I used to
dollar.
go to in San Francisco in the Tenderloin where John lives. There used to be places that you can go in and get in a booth and hopefully not slip and drop quarters in
Oh
the
yeah,
machine.
yeah.
A Super 8 movie would come on.
And just as something really good was happening, it would stop, and you'd have to
Yeah,
put
you'd
another
pull more
quarter
money.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, so you people went to those things too? I see. Okay.
What you do is you
I wasn't the only
load
one
the thing
keeping
with
them
quarters
alive.
So you can get your rag out.
Huh?
Do what you need to do. You load the thing with quarters, so you got a half hour worth of movie time, so you can take care of your own business in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Wasn't there a place in the city where you would pay money and there would be like women on the other side of the glass?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was.
they still have
In
those.
Chicago, yeah.
In North Beach. Yeah.
Yeah, in North Beach, I had friends. I never did it, but it always kind of scared the shit out of me. But yeah, they would do that.
The Lusty Lady.
Lusty Lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lusty Lady. Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
I never went in there, but I knew somebody who worked there.
Yeah.
But
Did
you know
see
what
who
happened to
sneak
that
in?
place? The workers took it over,
They
and then
went-
they started hiring any woman that would want to come in there and work. And then they went out of business.
But didn't they go on
Lady
strike?
for-
Didn't Lusty Lady go on strike at some
Yeah.
point?
Yes.
Right, they did.
Yeah, they did. I remember that.
Yeah.
And the women that they started hiring were not that attractive, so the place went out of business.
I remember the strike. They were striking in front of the theater, and there were guys that wanted to get close to these women, so they'd hold up a strike sign and walk with them. Not,
I remember.
not be. They,
I remember when I was a kid, I always thought that life was quite innocent in those times, and so a bunch of friends of mine and I, there was a theater in San Francisco called the Follies Burlesque, and it was a strip joint. It was a strip theater. They had an orchestra and everything. They had comics that came out and did a little shtick beforehand, and then the strippers would come out and do their strip. And
Like Mrs. Maisel.
yeah, but yes, exactly. And my I remember going there with some friends. We snuck in because we were underage, and we somehow lied about our age. And I don't know, we got in by some miracle, and we're all sitting there watching it, and we couldn't. The one thing that was just I remember the most about that strip show was we couldn't stop laughing. We were, I guess, so embarrassed by being there and by what was happening. The woman would take her clothes off, and we just start laughing our heads. People are starting to stare at it. They finally threw us out of the theater. How old are you kids? Oh, I'm 16. Oh, out of here. Okay, but
you
in
said,
the
but my father is Jeff
we
Stein.
laughed. I mean, we couldn't stop from laughing because, in a way, we were very, bothered by it. Not bothered by it, but just felt guilty about watching this. Anyway,
not when I was 16. I didn't feel guilty.
but it's
at all.
amazing how we've gone to
I
that.
felt relieved.
How we've gone from that to porn on your computer.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
we've
waiting
gone.
for somebody to take IA and put Marjorie Taylor Greene in a porn.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great.
it's probably
That'd be on the
already
Animal
pushed.
Channel.
Yeah,
Animal Channel.
Shark Week.
Shark Week.
Yeah, she looks like
And that's
Cro-Magnon
appropriate,
woman.
Ray. That really is. That's
No, but I one time I got high on LSD, and I was up in the country, and I was lying in a bedroom, and in front of me, I relived the first time I ever had sex, and I suddenly realized how innocent that moment was in my life, that I've never been that innocent since, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I think that we go from this amazing innocence to what we have today, where there's no innocence anymore, right?
and no erections and no nothing at our age.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the point. The point I'm making is what we start out. We start out very innocent, and then we go to being non-innocent anymore.
I think that's true of all kids, though. I mean, not just with porn, but everything.
Yeah, but I mean, when I think how the times have changed since I was a kid, and that strip show that I went to, and to today. I mean, that strip show I could probably do in any theater here in New York right now. You know, women didn't take their clothes off completely. They all had pasties on, you know, and they were women
I've
who
never
actually
watched that, but you notice every 2 words out of Alex's mouth, Jeff's like,
Shit, I spent a third of my childhood searching through National Geographic looking for a hooter.
Of course.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I knew the exact volume number and issue number of the good ones, you know. And
then I realized someone, my mother or something, removed the National Geographics that had boobs in them, because I looked again, I could not find any. It's like you freaking took them out of there.
Well, we're back to that again now in Florida, where, you know, if there's some book in a library that even it doesn't meet muster, they pull the book. You know, it's terrible. So
education out the window in Florida.
Huh?
Yep.
Education out the window in Florida.
Which reminds me, how many any bets on what day next week Trump is finally going to get indicted?
Thursday.
This thing that Jack Smith sent them was just an invite to testify.
Yeah.
You know, which of course I'm surprised he doesn't take, because he wants to prove he's innocent. So.
Well, he's not going to go.
I don't blame him.
Because obviously he's not innocent.
He would be a real fool. I mean, he's a real fool, but
he it's going to be the reason they may not send that, they have to send that to you before they indict you, to give you an opportunity to come in and to make your case, you know. And if you don't choose to, that's fine too. And if you do, they're probably still going to indict you.
They might arrest you in the courtroom.
It's like they're saying, hey, look, we're going to indict you, but if you can change our mind, you're welcome to come in. Tell us what is up, you know?
Yeah, but you have to...
If you don't show up, they'll get you and bring you in.
No.
This wasn't a court order.
This is voluntary. You're sent the invite to come in. That, you know, and they say, here are the things we're looking at right now.
Speak on your behalf.
And you might want to speak on your behalf. They did that with him. They did too.
If you don't show up once you're indicted, then they'll come get you.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But is this one from New York?
No. This is the Washington D.C. This is January 6th.
Yeah.
You know. But by the time
did you hear him today? It's like, they gave it to me on a Sunday night. Can you imagine a Sunday night?
Yeah, well, how's that?
Family?
Yeah, well, he's such a religious person. I hate to bother him in church.
Dude is crazier than shit. You know.
You know, how dare they say it on a Monday night? And also, I'm running for president. They can't do this while I'm running for president. Well, you announced a year ago so you wouldn't think anybody would charge you with anything, and you could use that as an excuse. You know?
Yeah, so just because you're running for president means you can break any fucking law in the world? What the fuck?
Right, exactly. Well, that's about it tonight, folks. I think.
Fun.
Huh?
Did
That
you
was
see?
fun.
Yeah.
Did you see Adrian come in?
No.
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't see it.
Did
Yeah.
she?
She always knows when it's about to
She
end.
opened the door and I was on mute and I told her, get out now or you're grounded.
That's what we were talking about.
Anyway, hey, listen, thank you very much, Charlie. Appreciate your participation as always. Jeff, your participation also very nice. Thank you, Alan. We'll see you probably again tomorrow night. Kevin, always nice to see you, and good participant. And of course, we always got to thank our good friend John Larkin, you know, who is in San Francisco, in the heart of the what could we call it? The
Tenderloin.
He's the man on the street.
Man on the street. Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much, Tony. Good having you here. And of course, Ray, good having you here too. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. But we'll have another one tomorrow night. Boy, I can't speak the English language anymore. But there's going to be a citizen panel right after this with the intersection with Jack Bishop. You'll call Skype at Gabnet Live. Skype at Gabnet Live. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody.